Hello, my name is George, and today we're diving into ActiveCampaign, a SaaS platform designed to manage your business's online reputation, oversee digital marketing campaigns from beginning to end, and assist in the creation of high-impact content for your website, all with the assistance of ActiveCampaign's built-in generative AI. In this 1 hour long tutorial, we'll start with the essentials, a quick start guide to get you up and running, before introducing some of the more advanced features that this customer relationship management and content creation platform has to offer. If you find this tutorial helpful, the best way to support my channel is to sign up for ActiveCampaign by using my link in the description of this video. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it helps us to continue making world-class tutorials just like this one. Timestamps can be found below, so you can easily skip to the sections that matter most to you. Now, without further ado, let's get started. With more of our lives online than ever before, managing your business's online reputation and optimizing your web pages, social media posts, and marketing emails to generate and convert leads is not an option. If you don't, your competitors will. But it's never too late to start growing your business's digital footprint, and ActiveCampaign is a great place to start. Introduction and onboarding. Creating an ActiveCampaign account is easy. Simply click the lime green free trial button in the middle of the landing page and enter your email address, or sign up with your Google account. You'll also need to add your name and phone number. After that, ActiveCampaign will ask you a few questions about your business. For the sake of this tutorial, let's assume we have between 5,000 and 10,000 customer emails in our database. We have anywhere from 6 to 20 employees, and we are a software company. Before we continue, a word of caution. The answers you give on this screen will impact your starting experience with ActiveCampaign. As a software company, ActiveCampaign asks us if we're using any of these popular CRMs or tools. But what if we switch our industry to nonprofit? Let's do that. As you can see, you'll get slightly different set of programs to choose from. For this tutorial, we'll keep it simple. We'll be a software company that only uses Microsoft Excel. After that, you'll be sent to this verification page. All you need to do is open the email and click the link. Once that's done, you'll continue with the account creation process by setting a password. After this, you're finally ready to start using ActiveCampaign. By creating an account and completing the verification steps, you'll automatically have access to their 14-day free trial. The trial does not automatically renew, so there's no need to worry if ActiveCampaign isn't right for you. There's also an option to reach out to support and request an extra week. Now, while the trial offers a glimpse of what ActiveCampaign can do, it's not possible to actually start an online marketing campaign. It's only possible to send test emails to the email used to create your accounts. Before diving into ActiveCampaign, I want to highlight the login process, which can be quite confusing. Your account name is the email address you use to sign up, excluding the domain name at the end. For example, if your email is sabiz2@gmail.com, then your account username is sabiz2.activehosted.com. Don't worry, I'll tell you how to avoid this problem in the next section of this video. Getting started, the dashboard. When you log into ActiveCampaign, you'll land on the dashboard. To avoid the whole login process, simply bookmark this page so it appears at the top of your web browser. Problem solved. The dashboard serves as the central hub for all marketing, sales, and content creation activities. This interface is designed to provide a rapid overview of key performance indicators, recent operational activities, and direct access to core functionalities. On the left-hand side are the tools. There's a helpful getting started walkthrough, as well as tabs for managing contacts, sending out emails, or text messages. There's also a place to set up and manage your website, receive reports, and much more. We'll dive into those tools later in the video. Continuing down, you'll notice a Chat with Us button. Let's click on it to pull up the chatbot. As far as chatbots go, the ActiveCampaign bot is quite helpful. If you're stuck, ask it a question and it'll send you relevant articles and videos. The bot will even ask questions about your business so it can better tailor its responses to fit your unique needs. The Community tab is another useful resource, but I recommend saving yourself some time and letting the chatbot search through this for you. There's also a spot to manage apps, but we'll skip over that for now. Instead, let's open up the Settings menu below. Here, you will see your account information as well as a bunch of menus on the side. There are a few that we're going to cover now. Settings. The first of these is Advanced, where you'll be asked to set up and verify the sending domain. While it is possible to use a Gmail or Hotmail address here, it'll prove rather complicated to authenticate, and it may also appear unprofessional to your contacts. I recommend using or creating an email associated with your business's domain. For example, we'll input the email updates@sabiz.com. You'll need to verify this email in the same way you verify the email address used to create your accounts. Simply click the link and you'll be all set. On this page, you can also select the time and date format you prefer for managing your email campaigns. This will not be visible to your customers, so it's more of a personal preference. Scroll down a bit, however, and ensure that you enable Google Analytics tracking while you're on this page. While setting this up is outside the scope of today's tutorial, your website likely has Google Analytics enabled by default. If it doesn't, or if you're not sure, then click the help doc on the page. Moving on, let's return to the sidebar on the left-hand side of the screen and click on Addresses. This one is straightforward. Add your business's physical address so it appears at the bottom of all emails. As we will see shortly, you will also have the option to add your phone number or social media handles here. Skipping over brand kits, let's click on Appearance. First things first, disable ActiveCampaign branding. This removes the ActiveCampaign logo from all emails. Let's also scroll down really quickly to the bottom of the page. At the very bottom, you'll see the email headers and footers section. Here, you can add your business's logo, phone number, and social media handles to give your email the level of professionalism that customers have come to expect. A word of warning before we move on, however. Simply choosing text header or footer will appear very sloppy. To create a quality header and footer, you or someone on your team will have to use HTML to design a functional and visually appealing header and footer. Last but not least, let's open up one more setting. Click Security. Security. Given that ActiveCampaign will have access to your customers' names, email addresses, and phone numbers, your company must take every step to protect that sensitive data. As a result, I recommend setting up multi-factor authentication. MFA essentially adds another layer of verification to access your account. Let's flip the Set Up for Myself button, fill in the circle, and click Continue. While you can pick between Authy or Google Authenticator, I recommend downloading Authy on your mobile device. The app is downloadable on both iOS and Android. With Authy downloaded, open the app, click the Add Account button in the bottom right corner, and scan the QR code displayed on your screen. All you've got to do now is enter the 6-digit Authy code before it resets. Be sure to download the recovery codes and store them in a secure location such as a Google Doc. Flip Enable for the entire account or just to be safe. And there you go. Your customer's personal information is now safe and secure. Now, let's return to the dashboard. To do that, click the right-facing arrow on the top left of your screen right here. No matter where you are in ActiveCampaign, clicking that arrow will always return you to your dashboard. Managing your contacts, lists, segments, tags, and fields. All right, let's talk about managing your contacts. Click on Contacts in the sidebar. So right now, you'll see that I only have the email address I use to register as a contact. A particularly neat feature is that ActiveCampaign helps you import any lists you have with another CRM tool or stored in a spreadsheet. Clicking on Request a Migration with only the free trial will return a 404 error or a missing link error. This isn't surprising. Remember, accounts using the free trial can only send and receive emails to the address used for registration. Now, that being said, all subscribers, no matter the plan they choose, can have ActiveCampaign support migrate their lists for them. How long this takes exactly isn't clear. While the support page states that an agent will contact you within 48 hours, it does not specify how long it typically takes to complete data migration. Looking through the different plans, it appears that the Starter and Plus plans have basic migration support, whereas the more expensive Pro and Enterprise plans have priority migration support. Today, we'll simply click No Thanks. Lists. Let's click Lists from the sidebar. Lists are the broadest categorization method for managing your contacts. As you can see, we have two master lists by default. The master contact list, which contains email addresses, and the SMS or text message lists. Now, a really quick note before we start exploring all the ways ActiveCampaign lets you customize and refine your online marketing strategy. For this tutorial, I will walk you through email list customization only. There are two reasons for this. First, the methodology is very similar. The process for creating and managing an email campaign is similar to that of an SMS campaign. The second is that the free trial does not allow you to create or execute a practice SMS campaign. With that out of the way, let's make a new list. Let's create a list called uncontacted New York businesses, as an example. In the top right, let's click the blue Add a List right here. First, we'll type in our name. We can also add a basic description, something like potential leads in New York State for small area businesses. We will create an email list and add our fake website, sabiz.com. Since the bottom field isn't relevant to our purposes, we will simply type, "This is a placeholder." And there you go, we just created a list. To anyone experienced in email marketing, you might be surprised to hear that ActiveCampaign recommends using as few lists as possible and instead focusing on segments and tags. What are those, you may ask? Let's find out. Segments. Segments are the second organizational tier in ActiveCampaign, where you can choose from 3 default options. If you hover over each of these segments, you'll notice that they appear as basic if X then Y functions. For example, let's hover over Nurture Engaged Subscribers. A contact will be segmented into this demographic if they have clicked a link in any campaign within the last 7 days, have visited at least 3 unique pages on your website, and are currently subscribed to at least 1 active list. Of course, these segments are wholly customizable. Let's click Edit on the right-hand side here. As you can see, it's possible to adjust our segment's conditions for a wide variety of situations. First, however, let's rename our segment to Cold Email New York. Our segment name is pretty self-explanatory, so let's leave the description box blank. Rather than clicking on a link in a campaign, let's harness ActiveCampaign's integrated AI and switch our first field here to predictive geography. We want to market our software to businesses in New York State, so we will select states, is, and type New York. We can then cast a wider or narrower net by selecting and or. Since we're looking to increase sales, let's assume we've gathered data from the type of businesses we want to reach. Since that's all we want to achieve with this campaign, we can delete the other 2 conditions by clicking the trash can on the right-hand side. And by adding more conditions, it is possible to cast a very wide or narrow net depending on the goal of your marketing campaign. Let's move on to the organizational tier right before segments. Tags. Since we have no tags, let's click on the blue Add Tag in the top right. In the pop-up menu, let's click the Take the Tag quiz link here. For our purposes, let's answer yes, no, and no. With those answers, we'll receive a helpful tip suggesting that this would be better as the next organizational tier, a field rather than as a tag, since tags are used to categorize the actions the contact does or does not take. Since our example is a cold email, we are not dealing with existing contacts who would fit a pre-existing tag. Still, let's create one for illustrative purposes. Let's say our company has a monthly newsletter. If we want to reach those people with this campaign, we need to create the monthly newsletter tag. There. Now all we have to do is hit save. When ActiveCampaign has integrated our contact list, all we'll need to do is use this tag to reestablish our monthly newsletter. Let's now quickly talk about fields to wrap up this conversation. Fields. Fields are the way to personalize each email or text message your company sends. We can see the default fields here. Let's add some new ones by clicking on the Add Field button right here. Let's add a field to wish our contacts a happy birthday. To do that, let's answer these questions as yes, no, and no. Alright, it seems like this makes sense as a field. Let's name our field birthday. We'll make the field type a date. We now have an existing field that can be used in future campaigns that target a specific age demographic, or we can simply wish our customers a happy birthday. Now, before moving on, I would like to briefly discuss why this hierarchical and highly customizable format is so important for email and SMS marketing. Even just a few years ago, most businesses relied solely on list-based email marketing. It was easy to set up, took little technical knowledge, and was relatively cheap. The problem is that today's customers expect far more than that. They want tailored messages that address them personally and offer a solution to their specific problem. The segmented approach offered by ActiveCampaign ensures the delivery of highly personalized and relevant messages, which should enhance customer engagement, increase website traffic, and help drive higher conversion rates. But email and SMS marketing are only a part of the picture. I said that customers today demand content that is tailored to meet their needs and highly personalized. They also want speed, reliability, and convenience. That's why it's essential to have professional forms on your website that your customers can fill out anytime, day or night. Let's see what ActiveCampaign has to offer. All right, to access the form creator, let's make sure we're on the dashboard by clicking the arrow in the top left-hand corner of the screen. Let's click on Website, between Deals and Reports. Forms serve as a primary mechanism for capturing new leads and gathering valuable information about an audience. While your business may only be open 8 hours a day, forms are always ready to interact with new and returning customers. Let's jump right in by clicking Create a New Form. We have a few options to choose from. The inline form is the one we will use for this tutorial, since it is the only form available with the starter plan. Since this form will be used to gather new email contacts, let's name it Email Signup. Moving down, let's select Subscribe to a List under Form Action. As for lists, we'll pick the Master Contact lists. We won't be adding any new actions, but you can create more advanced forms by simply clicking Add Another section in this menu. That said, let's make our form. It took a few seconds to generate, but now we've got our blank new form. Let's customize. First things first, since it's optional, let's remove the name box. The title is fine, so let's add a brief description so potential contacts know what they're signing up for. We'll keep it relatively boilerplate, so let's do something like get all our best deals sent right to your inbox. To add this, let's click on the text box. Let's look over to the right. See where it says HTML code? Don't worry about it. All we need to do is delete the text and add our custom message. There. Be careful when editing the text, as it saves automatically. Okay, with that done, let's open up the options setting on far right over here. Here's where you can customize what happens when someone submits their email. Right now, it is set to show thank you. Let's click the text box to see what happens when someone submits their information. There we go. Only the form itself updates, meaning that the contact will remain on the page they were browsing. Below that, you'll see the Form Action section. This simply lets you choose the lists to which you want the contact information sent. Since we're minimizing the number of lists, sending all this data to our master contact lists is the best option. Since the person signed up to receive marketing updates, we can also add them to that list. Let's click Add an Action on the right-hand side. Click the drop-down menu and select Add a Tag. Let's create a tag called Marketing. Now, anyone who enters their contact information into the form will have their data automatically shared with our master contact list and a specific marketing tag. While we're here, let's briefly look at the Style and Field tabs at the top. Let's start with Style. I don't have much to say about this. With forms, generally, less is more. While I will keep the default formatting, there's plenty to play around with if you want a custom, flashy form for your website. The only setting I'd like to highlight is the one in the middle, right here, called Show ActiveCampaign Branding. Go ahead and turn this off. It'll give your form a sleeker, more professional look. With that done, let's take a look at the Fields tab. Fields are the primary way to customize the information you want your form to collect. Adding or removing fields is easy. Simply drag the field you want to add to your form. Let's take the full name field and drag it over so it's above the email but underneath the description. There we go. It's that easy. Let's say you don't want it to be optional if contacts can provide their full name. To make it a required field, simply hover over it and click the icon that resembles a compass rose. On the right-hand side, you'll see the options for this field. Switch required on, and there you go. Oh, and to delete a field, all you need to do is hover over it, click the black X, and confirm. That's it. Let's return to the dashboard. Landing pages. All right, let's click back into website on the left right here. Okay, instead of forms, we'll open pages right beneath it. Like we did with forms, we'll click the blue Add a New Page button in the upper right corner. You'll now have the option to choose one of ActiveCampaign's pre-made templates. Before we go any further, I should probably say that adding new pages requires a subscription to the Plus, Pro, or Enterprise plan after your free trial expires. All right, now, where was I? Oh yeah, I was choosing a template for our landing page. I'll pick the product template for our software company. It'll take a few seconds to generate our page. All right, there. Let's give our page a name. We'll call it something like New York B2B landing page. For anyone who has ever used a website builder before, this is very similar. Everything is plug and play. For example, let's say we want to delete the company logo at the top of the page. All we need to do is click on it and then, looking to the right, click the trash can icon. But let's say you don't want to delete this but replace it. Then all you have to do is click on Replace. That'll bring up this Content Manager window where you choose to add a file from your computer. Since we're not going to be doing that, let's exit this window by clicking the X in the corner. Before we delete this asset, however, let me show you a really neat feature of the Page Creator: the ability to choose what assets to display on the desktop and mobile versions of your site. Let's assume that our logo, for some reason, causes lag on mobile. To hide the asset, simply navigate to the visibility option in the upper right corner and click on the phone icon. From there, we'll hover our cursor over the desktop icon in the center of the screen right here. Let's switch to mobile, and that logo is nowhere to be seen. Let's switch back to the desktop version and delete the logo, as well as the field here at the top of the screen. Okay, now let's scroll down to the bottom. Let's add the form we created earlier at the bottom of the page. I'll start by looking through the Blocks tab on the right-hand side of the screen. In the middle of this list, you'll see an inline form box. Let's drag it into the white space beneath the dark yellow double-click to edit button and the footer. Now, a window appears prompting us to either use an existing form or create a new one. For the sake of this tutorial, I'll use the form we created in the last section, even if it might not be the perfect fit for this web page. Adding the form is easy. Simply click the form you want to add, then click the blue Add Form button right here. And before we do that, though, there's another neat feature to highlight in this window. See the little magnifying glass on the right side of the email sign-up box right here? Let's click it. We'll get a little pop-up displaying the form we're about to add. If you've only got one or two forms, then this feature is probably not for you. However, if you have a website with hundreds of pages and over a dozen forms, then it's a quick and easy way to ensure you're adding the correct form to the right page. All right, let's click out that preview and add the form to the landing page, like that. Let's also delete that dark yellow double to click edit button real quick. Now, this is something we glossed over during the section on forms, but let's click on the form we just added. I want to make the button dark yellow so it matches the page's existing theme. To do that, I'll click the edit form button here at the top. Give it a couple of seconds and this page will look very familiar to us. Let's go over to the Style tab, and if you scroll down, the last section will be called Button. Now, if you were actually creating a landing page for your website, you'd want to match the color exactly. For this tutorial though, I'm just going to eyeball it. We'll click on the square corresponding the background and we'll have this color slider. I'll move it down to yellow and then select a shade on the left. That's close enough. Now, let's hit Update Form. Do note that if you use that form on multiple pages, the color of the button will change on all of them. If you don't want that, then you'll need to create a duplicate form and set each color accordingly. That's almost it for landing pages. Before moving on, I'll quickly show you how to publish your page. Let's click the blue Publish Page button here on the upper right. For this tutorial, we'll be using our ActiveCampaign username, which has its own domain. You'll obviously want to change this to your business's website. You may also want to create a custom URL. Before we publish, let's click the View Settings tab right here. This is where you can name your page, add a meta description, the keywords you're trying to rank for, as well as a picture you want to appear when someone shares a page of your business on social media. Since we're not going to change any of these settings, let's go back to the previous page. We can do that by clicking Edit Design in the upper right over here. Okay, now let's publish it for real. All right, the page has been published. Let's click on the View Live pop-up before it disappears. While we're here, let's sign up for email updates. Let's fill out the form with the email we used to register our account. And there we go. Let's close this tab and return to ActiveCampaign. Okay, let's click on Pages here on the left-hand side. You'll see that we now see page metrics displaying how many visitors and conversions our landing page has achieved. And that will do it for pages. Let's return to the dashboard and set up our first email campaign. Email campaigns. From the dashboard, we'll click the Email tab here on the left-hand side. Let's click Create Your First Campaign. ActiveCampaign offers 6 different types of email campaigns. The first of these is the standard one-time email campaign. It is worth noting that you can create a campaign from scratch, start with a template, or use generative AI. We'll come back to this later. The next type of campaign is split testing, also known as A/B testing. Although there are only 2 options here, you can set several different conditionals to find the right formula for your business. For example, what is the right follow-up message timing? What channel, email or SMS, is more effective at generating and converting leads? Next up is automated campaigns. Rather than give a brief overview, I'll save this discussion for the next section of the video. RSS, which stands for Really Simple Syndication, allows users to receive notifications when websites they care about are updated. Users can then read a summary or the whole post. There's more to say, but RSS campaigns aren't something to worry about when you're getting started. An autoresponder is what it sounds like, an automatic response to a user's action, like subscribing to a mailing list. And last but not least are date-based campaigns, such as wishing a contact a happy birthday. Okay, with that out of the way, let's create a standard one-time campaign. We'll call it Weekly Updates, and we'll use a template to get started. Let's click Next in the upper right. We'll give our email a generic subject line like Small Area Business Weekly Roundup. The pre-header is the text designed to draw a potential reader in to get them to open your email and ideally to take a specific action. Rather than a sales pitch, our weekly roundup letter covers developments in the small area business niche. So let's open with a relevant, attention-grabbing hook. How about Chicago small business owners takes the fight to Google? Now, let's hover over the I next to the pre-header to get a glimpse of what our email will look like in an inbox. So far, so good. See the lightning bolt next to the subject? This is where, if you want, you can add a personalized field. In the case of our weekly roundup, this probably isn't the best idea. However, let's say we're creating an email campaign to highlight a sale for long-term customers. If we want to send a personalized greeting in the subject line, then all we need to do is click the lightning bolts. From the drop-down menu, let's select first name and then click Save. See how the field appeared at the end of our subject? We can easily move it around by copying and pasting or typing around it. Let's delete our subject line for now. I'll begin by adding the first name field. After that, I'll add a comma and include the text, "Don't miss out. Get up to 50% off an annual subscription when you upgrade today." Now the subject line will be customized with each contact's first name, adding that personalized touch that goes a long way to establishing or reaffirming trust. All right, let's delete our hypothetical and add back our weekly roundup subject line. The next two fields have been automatically filled in using the name and email address associated with your ActiveCampaign accounts. Obviously, you may want to change these, but we'll keep them as is for now. Moving down, we need to choose what list to send this email to. Let's pick our master contact lists. We can further segment in the next field, so let's open the drop-down menu. Here we can select a specific segment or tag to target. You can also choose all active subscribers or enter a custom condition. While you would want to have a specific tag for the weekly newsletter, we don't have that set up. So we will take the easy way and keep all active subscribers selected. Continuing down the page, we have the schedule section. Let's open it by clicking right here. Rather than predictive send, we will set an exact delivery time and date. Our sale will start on Monday, August 4th, 2025, so we'll use that as our delivery date. As for our delivery time, we want it to arrive at the beginning of the workday when most of our contacts will be hopefully checking their inbox. We'll set the time to 9 a.m. US Eastern Standard Time. Let's confirm by clicking Set Schedule in the bottom right corner. As for the tracking and automation, it makes sense to keep the default options selected. It also makes sense to enable Google Analytics too. Enabling reply tracking will complicate matters by messing up a previous setting. So for now, we'll keep it disabled. Last but not least, let's add our business address here at the bottom. As for the last setting here, I recommend keeping your campaign archive or the data collected from this campaign private. You can always decide to switch it to public if you want to share the data with someone else. Okay, with that all taken care of, let's design our campaign email. Scrolling back up, we'll click the big blue button right here. Rather than starting from scratch, let's pick the weekly newsletter template. I would opt to manually edit your email rather than letting AI to do it for you. While AI is helpful, it shouldn't be trusted to handle vital tasks alone. Much like the form and page designers, the email templates also work in a plug-and-play fashion. You'd obviously want to replace the logo at the top with your businesses, but let's at least change the color to match our landing page from earlier. To do that, let's click on the logo. When we do that, you'll see that there are several options to embed a link, change the alignment, and make various other formatting changes. But there's no way to change the color. To do that, let's click on the To Container blue text on the far right side of the screen, right here. That will let us change the background color to a rich, dark yellow. There we go. The logo will stay as is simply because we have no logo. If we did, then all we'd need to do is click the box and here at the top, click the pencil right here to upload an image. Okay, with that done, let's take a look through the settings on the side. Let's start under content and structures. These drag and drop boxes are where I'll add content to the newsletter. Let's shove it under the read more button for now. Blocks are simply the default building blocks of your email. Let's say we want to add a social handle at the bottom. Then simply drag it to the bottom of the email right there. It can be a bit finicky to get just right, but undoing a mistake is as easy as pressing Ctrl Z. Now, this next one will save you a lot of time. ActiveCampaign allows you to save customized modules for reuse in future campaigns. Note that you cannot save modules that are part of the template. You can only save custom modules that you added. With that in mind, let's click on the single block we added under the Read More button. From there, let's hover over the three dots on the right side and click the first option, Save. Again, it can be a bit of a pain to make sure your cursor is in the right spot. That done, we can now give our module a name and a description. We can also add it to a category or link it to certain tags. Since our module is blank, we'll click the blue Back button at the top of the menu right here instead. All right, let's open Global Settings. We'll go from top to bottom, so let's start with Global Settings. Here, you can find most of the basic formatting options, allowing you to change the alignment, fonts, etc. Let's collapse that section by clicking on it again. Opening sections, we see our email broken down into the header, content, footer, and info area. We can change the color of the text, its size, and a little bit more here. Closing sections, let's open headings, where you see we can make many of the same formatting changes found in the previous section. Moving on, let's open button. This should look quite familiar. While we're here, let's change our button so it matches the header around our logo. There we go, easy. Last but not least, mobile formatting allows you to make the same changes found in the prior sections. Now, it's worth noting that there are a couple of other menus up here in the right-hand corner. We're only going to be interested in test email. Let's click on that option, which will bring us to this menu. I'll now send a test email to the address associated with our account. And pulling up our inbox, there it is. With everything set, it's time to launch our campaign. So let's hit the next button right here and get the show on the road. This page is a summary of your campaign, allowing you to check everything one last time before sending it to your contacts. It's also possible to send another test email if you want. Since we're happy with what we've got, let's hit the Finish button. Our campaign is now scheduled. As you can see, we can still edit or even cancel our campaign until it's time to launch. At the bottom here, you'll see the ability to automate a follow-up campaign. Though we will skip this particular box, let's head back over to the dashboard so we can tackle automations next. Email automations. All right, so let's continue on the automations button on the left-hand side of your screen, right here. Automations are a way to create fully autonomous email chains that provide customers with a more personalized marketing experience. Let's jump right into it by clicking the Create an Automation button. We'll now have the option to start building an automation from scratch or to choose an existing template called a recipe in this section. Now, rather than looking through the hundreds of templates available, let's try to find one that is tailored to our specific niche. On the left-hand side of this window, under Categories, you will see an industry tag. Let's click on it, scroll down, and find what we're looking for. There, let's click on Software. All right, let's work with the first one. After a few seconds, you'll find yourself on this page. It may seem overwhelming at first, but it's actually quite simple. Before I walk you through this example, however, there are two things to address. First, there are three core components of the automation process: triggers, actions, and goals. Triggers serve as the starting points for automated workflows, or chains, initiating a campaign when specific actions or conditions are met. Actions represent the specific steps or tasks executed within a workflow once a trigger has been activated. Goals, meanwhile, are the desired outcomes or stages a contact should reach within a specific time frame. Got it? Okay, now let's click the Get Started button here in the Automation Setup Wizard window. The first step is to link your website to ActiveCampaign. While I will skip this step, you should have your business's website synced to ActiveCampaign by this time. If you haven't, now is definitely the time to do that. If you need a bit of help, then we'll include an article from ActiveCampaign in the description box below. Next, we'll be prompted to create an email for this automation. Of course, you'd want to spend the time to craft a perfect email. For now, we'll simply highlight that you can make basic edits to your email subject line and pre-header in this window. For more advanced edits, hover over the email preview located here and click Edit Design. After a few seconds, you'll be redirected to the template builder. When you're done, click the previous button located in the top left corner. For now, let's save this email and move on. Okay, with our email ready to go, let's look at this chain. This automation will trigger when a contact visits a specific page on our website. Let's click the little notepad on the right corner of this box. This contains a helpful how-to tip from ActiveCampaign, instructing us to input the URL of our upgrade or purchase page to initiate the process. As you'll notice, all the advanced steps in this automation include helpful notes from ActiveCampaign to guide you through the process. I reviewed about 24 templates from various industries, and all of them included these valuable tips. With that said, let's click on the box itself. With site tracking enabled, we'll have the option to enter the URL of the page we want to kick off this chain. There's also an advanced setting where we can segment contacts. Let's click that right now just to see what it looks like. In short, this menu lets us set up more advanced conditionals for our chain. For example, let's say we only want this chain to be sent to people who already have an active subscription to our software. To do that, let's click the first box and scroll down to Has Deal with Status. Now, we'll cover the deals section of ActiveCampaign in the next section of this video. For now, just know that deals essentially means sales. And when a deal is won, it means a sale has been finalized. With that in mind, let's set the second conditional to 1. Now, we can't actually set conditional without linking our website, but you should have a good idea of what enabling segmentation in email chains does. Let's take a quick look at the rest of the chain. You might be able to guess based on the form, but customizing automations such as forms, landing pages, or emails works in a plug-and-play format. All I've got to do is click the plus icon right here to choose from a wide variety of options. We'll explore these a bit more shortly when I create a fully customized workflow, so let's close that window for now. Alright, as you can see, our automation is set to wait 24 hours before launching the next link in the chain. Don't get confused by all the technical terms here. All the step is saying is, did the contact choose to upgrade their plan? If they did, then the automation automatically ends. If they did not choose to upgrade their plan, then I'll send out the upgrade discount email in an attempt to sway the contacts. It even displays the success of this email, letting us know the open and click rate of this first email. After waiting 3 days, the conditional will play out again. If an upgrade has been made, the chain will terminate. If not, it'll send a follow-up email in another attempt to convert the contact. Enough of that though. Let's click back on automations on the left-hand side so we can create an automation from scratch. We will create a workflow for our weekly newsletter. We need to start by creating a trigger, so let's click on the trigger box. The first one is perfect, so let's click on that. Now, we'll be prompted to choose a list of contacts. Let's select the master contact lists, since those who filled out the form we created several sections ago agreed to receive updates. We will also choose to run this step once. There we go. That is the only trigger we will set up for this chain. Let's add in the next step. Let's send them a welcome email. To set that up, I'll click Send an Email. We will need to create a new email, so let's select that option. Here, there's an option to have ActiveCampaign's generative AI create an email for us. Let's see what it can come up with when given the following prompts. Welcoming new subscribers to our weekly newsletter. Obviously, this will need a lot of work, but it will serve as a good example for this tutorial. Let's save it and move on. Now we want our new subscribers to be seamlessly added to our weekly newsletter. To do that, we'll have to get a bit creative. Let's click the plus button underneath our email right here. We're going to navigate to Workflow, Wait, and until specific conditions are met. In our condition editor, we'll go to Date and Time and Current Day of the Week. We'll select Contact's time zone, is, and Monday. Let's click Save. Okay, so after the welcome email, this wait step ensures that the next step in our workflow will not trigger until Monday in our contact's time zone. With that set up, it's time to send out our weekly newsletter. We'll do that by clicking on the plus button right here. Send an email, and since we already created a template for our newsletter, start from an existing email. Scrolling down, we can see the weekly updates template at the bottom. Let's select it and click Create. For the purposes of this tutorial, this template will work, so let's click Save and continue. Obviously, the rudimentary workflow will require substantial modifications before it's ready to run indefinitely. However, we still have a lot of ground to cover in this tutorial, so I will assume that our workflow is ready to launch. To launch our workflow, simply click Active in the upper right corner. There we go. The chain is now active. I've really only scratched the surface of what automations can do, but I hope you feel confident enough to start experimenting with ActiveCampaign's automation feature on your own. Let's head back to the dashboard and discuss one last feature, the Customer Relationship Management section. CRM Deals. ActiveCampaign calls CRM Deals, so let's click on that over here. The first step is to create a pipeline, or the various stages a lead travels through to ideally become a customer. If the name pipeline doesn't sound too familiar, you might have heard this called the funnel or CRM funnel in the past. Let's get started. All right, first up is this window here where we'll need to get our pipeline up and running. We'll call our pipeline customizable landing pages as an example. Groups are an example of segmentation that we haven't seen before. Essentially, we'll need to create separate groups for our contacts and team members. For now, however, we will leave it as is. We will also leave USD as the default currency, but just look at how many different currencies ActiveCampaign supports. For the assignment method, you can either make your team manually manage contacts or choose a round-robin format that equally distributes potential leads to your team members. For simplicity, we'll keep this manual. Let's add our pipeline. It'll take a little bit to generate our pipeline. There we go. Right now, our pipeline consists of 3 steps or stages: to contact, in contact, and follow up. Let's add in a 4th. We can do that by clicking the Add a Stage button in the top right. Let's call it 30-minute demo and make it red. There we go. Like everything else with ActiveCampaign, the stages are plug and play, so I'll move the demo to the left 1 slot. There we go. Let's add a deal. We can do that by clicking on the blue Add a Deal button in the top right, or we can add a deal at any stage of our pipeline. Let's add it at the first stage of our pipeline. Okay, let's name our deal 50 geolocated landing pages. We can also set a value for this deal. Let's say it is $300. From here, we can adjust the pipeline, the stage, and who is overseeing the deal, as well as add a forecasted close date along with a brief description. We'll leave that all blank. Something we can't leave blank, however, is the contact information of our lead. We'll add the email we used to register our contacts. All that's left to do is add the deal to our pipeline like that. The individual deals can also be dragged and dropped to different stages, so we'll move our deal to in contact stage just like that. When a deal is either closed or falls through, you can click on it and drag it to the corresponding column at the top. You can also click on an individual deal to bring up this menu, which is basically an all-in-one deal management system. You can assign tasks, send an email to the client, attach files, or leave notes, as well as view the recent activity related to this deal. Now, before we go, there's one last feature I want to briefly highlight, so let's head back to the dashboard. Apps and integrations. It's possible to link your ActiveCampaign account to over 900 popular apps, from Facebook to Shopify and Excel. Starting on our dashboard in the bottom left, let's click on Apps. You'll get a complete list of all the apps that can be integrated with ActiveCampaign. If you want to break it down by category, then select one on the left-hand side. I'll pick social media. From here, I'll click on Facebook, which will prompt us to integrate our ActiveCampaign account with Facebook. Now, normally this is where we'd stop and I'd begin reading the intro, but there is one last thing that we need to discuss: ActiveCampaign's incredible customer support. The day our scriptwriter registered his account and began researching this video, he received a phone call from New York City. It was Bruna from ActiveCampaign. After thanking him for signing up, she asked our scriptwriter if there was anything she could help him with. Did he need help migrating contacts, or was there any feature he found particularly confusing? He requested some reference material on email automation. Bruna said she'd send him an email with a few articles and videos on email automation, and if he needed any help, he should send her an email or call the New York-based phone number. A few minutes after their call, our scriptwriter checked his email, and voila, he had a message from Bruno's personal ActiveCampaign account with several excellent step-by-step tutorials that explain the basics of email automation. Now, while some might say that it was simply a clever marketing technique, our scriptwriter was upfront, saying that he had created the account for a YouTube tutorial and had no intention of buying a subscription. Regardless, Bruno assured him that her offer still stood. Taking her up on her offer a few days later, he asked a question about social media integration. He received an email half an hour later with a detailed step-by-step guide, as well as links to ActiveCampaign tutorials. Now, don't get us wrong. ActiveCampaign, like any software, certainly has its fair share of quirks and issues, but their customer support, at least in our experience, certainly was not one of them. Thank you, Bruno. And that's it for this video. If you found this tutorial helpful, it would mean the world to us if you could sign up to ActiveCampaign using my link in the description of this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.